Everyone, good morning and welcome to AskSpot Office Hours live help sessions. This is where you can ask your quick questions regarding AskSpot and get live help. And on these calls, we also do live builds to show you how different AskSpot tools work in real use cases. For what we are building today I can label it as something that's really cool, and you can actually build this out with the Teleforms. It's called the AI powered assessment. And in this case, this is kind of productivity personality test. So the idea is very simple. Instead of giving people, generic advice, we collect a few structured inputs about their habits, focus, patterns, and energy cycles, and then the AI generates a personalized result. We're just going to be, making sure to structure the questions, assigning them the unique IDs, and then referencing those inside the prompt. And once the user submits the form, the AI instantly turns their answer into a personalized analysis. So the type this kind of form can be super useful for agencies because you can just use it as a lead magnet or maybe as an onboarding tool or maybe a diagnostic tool for clients, and we can just build the whole thing in like under 20 minutes. So I'll show you guys how to build it right now. Let me go to my AskSpot account. And by the way, you guys, if you have like any questions while we're walking through the setup of this form, feel free to ask them in the comments. So let's take a look at this. Um, let's just click on create and Teleform. Cool. So let's just name this the AI productivity personality form. And then let's just make sure this is set to active already. And let's add our cover page. So that'll be under here, down below. And click on cover, welcome users to your form. So new cover, now we will be asked to enter um, a title. So I'll use a rich text for that because I want to format the title and put that right here. Okay, cool. Now let's add another rich text. Put that right here. Click inside. And let me just get this. Enter it right here. And this will be like a kind of like a short description on what the form is all about. So let's just put another one. And then click inside for properties. Delete that. And save changes. So awesome. This will be the exact form setup. So most productivity advice fails. This quick assessment will analyze your the following, and then based on your answers, AI will generate the following, and then there's the time expectation for the user. So now let's change this to start the assessment and save changes. Cool. Let's just make sure everything's saved. And then let's go now to our input page. So guys, since this is an assessment type of Intelliform, we'll be using a lot of input pages for this. We'll be asking a lot of questions, so just bear with me. First thing is we're going to be using the title. Let me just name this form correctly. So this one's basically about their basic profiling. So they just have to tell us a few info about themselves. So let's just get this subtitle. There you go. And then let's just make sure to kind of like add a separator. And then this is where we will start adding the questions. So first things first, we will be first asking about their full name. So let's do that under unique ID, and then the label, and then the helper text. Okay. Next we will be asking for their like work environment. So that's going to be a select block. And then We'll just change the unique ID to work underscore environment. Sorry, let me just get this Zoom controls out of the way. Give me 1 second. Okay, there you go. I think that's good. So we're going to be adding a question about their work environment, and then a placeholder, and then our helper text. Also, we will be adding a few like options that they can just simply select from. So fully remote, hybrid, in office, travel frequently, and then home-based business, and then varies a lot. Okay, great. Now we'll be asking also their main productivity goal. So for that, I think let's use a check boxes. So let's use check boxes for that. So they can just select multiple at once. Main productivity goal, and then let's add the label. Let's add the helper text, and then let us start adding the options. So we'll add those right here for all of the options that they can select from. Let me just add a few more. Give me 1 second. Okay, cool. And then build a better routine, reduce overwhelm, and then manage energy better, improve work-life balance, and also be more consistent. Okay, cool. Now let's save that. Great. So that will be our first input form. So next we will be asking about their work habits. So let me just create a new page. Oh, sorry. Let me just rename this also. Basic profile. So we know. Now let me create a new form. This one is basically about work habits. Okay, cool. Now let me just add like a subtitle and change the title of this. Awesome. And then for the subtitle field, we'll just ask them to share about their work habits. Let's just make sure that's save. And then I'll just use a separator also like we did for the other page, and use a select block. Okay, first thing that we will ask is the task approach. So how do you usually approach your task at work? And then we'll just add a helper text, so ask them to select a statement that feels the most like them. Add a few options. So I jump into what feels urgent. Let's just add a few bunch in here. And then I batch similar tasks together. I switch tasks based on energy or mood. I often struggle to decide where to start. Okay, so those are all of the selection, and then we'll use another select block to ask about their procrastination pattern. So let's just make sure to get the label in there, also the helper text, and also a few like options that they can select from. So let's just make sure to get those added right here. When I have too many priorities, when I am tired or mentally drained, when I get distracted easily, and then last option, I do not procrastinate often. So, okay, that's good. Next, let's use another select block. Click inside and then change the unique ID that we have, and also update the label. How do you usually respond to deadlines? So basically, we're trying to know what's their response style when it comes to deadlines. So let's just put a few options in here and add a few more. So let's get that in there. Need reminders and checkpoints. And lastly, it depends on the type of task. Okay, cool. Great. Now let's add one last select block for this. And for this one, it'll be mostly about their planning style. So which planning style sounds most like you? And then we'll have them also select between few options. So this is the first option. And then second option, daily to-do list. Third option is weekly planning sessions. And then flexible priorities. Then mostly keeping things but inside my head. And then I rarely plan consistently. Okay, cool. So that's our input page for under work habits. So let's move on to the next one, which will be about their focus patterns. So let me just make sure to rename this focus patterns, and then I'll add a subtitle right here. Type that in, and then for the subtitle field, we'll ask them to share how they focus most of the time. And then let's use this like separator right there. And also, we will be using a select block again for this. So first question is their focus duration and also their label, like how long can you usually stay deeply focused on one task, and also the helper text. So now we're going to give them at least 5 options for this. So let's just make sure that's 5 options. 30 to 60 minutes, and then 60 to 90 minutes, and also 90 plus minutes. Okay, cool. Now let's use multiple checkboxes. Click inside and just update that unique ID and also the label and the helper text. And then also a few options to add in here. And then email, Slack, or team messages. We just add a few more options. Okay. Also, option 4 is social media, and then noise or people around me, my own thoughts, switching between too many tasks, getting bored easily, unexpected requests, and lastly is the option 10. So great, there we go. Now let's ask another question, which is regarding their multitasking tendency. So let me just update the unique ID for that and add our label. And then our helper text and also the options for those. And then sometimes, and then often, and then constantly, and also it depends on the day. Great. I think these are all the questions that we need for this. Oh, I think there's one last. Okay, one last question for this page. So what do you do with your best work? Let's use the select block for that. And also update unique ID, the label itself, and also the helper text. Also, let's just add the options. So early morning, late morning, and then afternoon, and also evening, late night. And then let's just add this one last option. Great. Awesome. So that will be the focus pattern page. So we have a few more page to add. You guys, please bear with me. The AI was very it was very detailed when it comes to creating this what they call this assessment kind of in Teleform. So let's just make sure to get those added. Just bear with me, guys. Let me just rename this. This one's going to be about the energy and sleep rhythm, save changes, and then let's just add that also to the title and also the subtitle field, which is this. And also let's put like a separator in there, similar to the other pages. And then they will be using another select block. Click inside and just enter the options. So unique ID and then the label. Um, and then we also have the helper text, a few options. Um, slow start, strong in the afternoon. And then let's add to here. Consistent most of the day, highly unpredictable, and then I often feel low energy all day. Awesome. Now, we will be using another select block. So for this time around, we'll be asking regarding their sleep schedule. So let's just make sure to get that added. Helper text, and then at least let's just have them select from at least five options that we have. Late sleeper, inconsistent sleep schedule. And then I do shift base or regular hours. Okay, cool. Next thing is we'll just ask them to like rate uh, a feeling or an energy rating. So let's do that. Let me just add this unique ID right here. And then how energized do you usually feel in the morning? I think this looks good. We just add the helper text. Okay, 1 means very low energy, 5 means very high energy. And then let's just use this opinion block also to click inside and also change the unique ID for this, change the labeling, and then change the helper text. Also the maximum value, let's just keep this until like 5. Okay, great. Default value should be 1. Okay, great. So that's how it looks like. Next thing, let's just add check boxes in here. Click inside, and then we'll be asking for their current productivity tools. So for the label, we'll just ask which kind of productivity tools or system they are currently using. We'll just list down like most of the common ones that is being used. So add option. Let me just add a few option in here. Awesome. Great. Now let's continue. Trello, and then we have Asana, we have ClickUp, we have Todoist. Also, we have Paper Planner, we have time blocking, we have a Pomodoro timer, we have a habit tracker, or maybe just maybe none of this. So let's get those added. Okay, so the next one is we're going to be asking what kind of productivity system they prefer. So we'll be using the select block again for that. Click inside and do a tool preferences question. So this will be a label, and then this will be the helper text, and also a few options for this. Simple and minimal, structured and detailed, visual and flexible, and then automated and tech-driven, paper-based and offline, and also this one last option. Okay, great. Now let's just use another um select block and update that also. This is about their consistency on their daily routine. So we'll make sure to add a helper text for that too. And then a few options. So very consistent, mostly consistent, somewhat inconsistent, and then very inconsistent, and also that the schedule changes constantly. Okay, great. So that's it for our energy and sleep rhythm page. So now let's ask the next one, which will be about challenges or friction. So let's use another form input for that. Oh, just there you go. Let's rename that to challenges and friction. Also save that and just name this page correctly. And then add a title as about your commonly faced challenges. And then let's add the separator and start asking those questions. So I'll be using another checkbox block for that. And we'll be adding its own unique ID, the label, what are your biggest productivity challenges, and then the help text, and then at least a few options for them to select from. Burnout, and then lack of structure. Just make sure that we have those options in place. Too many interruptions, low motivation, difficulty prioritizing, and then over planning without action, and also perfectionism. Okay, great. Now we'll be asking them about their overall response. So that will be a select block, and then the unique ID is this, the label is this, and also the helper text is this. So this helps identify how stress affects your productivity style. And then let's just add a few options in here. So I freeze and avoid task. And then I make plan and I make a plan and organize everything. I work proactively on urgent things. And then I shut down and need a break. And I ask for support or accountability. Great. One last question for this current page right here is regarding their accountability preferences. So let's just make sure that's added. And then a few options. And let me just make sure this is added in here. So deadlines and then external accountability. 2, 3, 4. So I just added a few options in there. Visual task tracking, rewards and motivation, fewer distractions, and better rest and energy. Okay, great. Next, one last page that we will add for this specific Intelliform is the personalized result setup. Let me just make sure to change that. Okay, so for this one, let's use the separator and then start asking the questions. First is what most, oh, sorry, I think I'll be using a select block for this first. Click inside and then change the unique ID. So what would you like, what would you most like to personalize? To include, sorry, what would you most like your personalized result to include? So now we're going to give them few options. Maybe first is a custom daily schedule, and then my productivity archetype, and then focus improvement strategies. Let me just add like 3 more in here. Maybe some recommended tools and systems, energy management and tips, and also a full productivity action plan. Okay, great. And then one last question is if there's any additional context that they can provide us, just make sure to add that in here. And then the helper text. Sorry, let me just enlarge that text area. Okay, cool. So far, this looks great. Now, let us move on to, they call this, to adding our prompt builder. So for our prompt, well, let me show you guys the exact prompt I'll be using for this. Let me just grab that real quick. And Give me 1 second. Okay, great. Now let's go to our form builder and start adding that. Okay, so first things first is we define the unique IDs. So this is very important just in case if you're building Intelliforms and then the unique IDs are like not working or it's not being able to get the input from the user, you may want to like kind of like map them out inside the prompt builder for it to work seamlessly. So in this case, we had a lot of input ID, and then the result will be about their productivity archetype, a short productivity profile summary, a recommended daily work structure, the focus improvement tips, productivity tools or systems that match their style, practical strategies to address their biggest productivity challenges, and then a short motivational closing insight. So now it's just a simple rule. Just make sure to keep the tone supportive, practical, and insightful, like a productivity coach, and then personalize the response using the user's name when appropriate. So that's the prompt that we'll be using. And let me just make sure that we're using 4.0 for that. And then let's start testing. And then let's do preview. Okay, great. Now let's click on start the assessment. So tell us about yourself, Kimberly. What do you, da, da, da. Let's just say fully remote. And then what is your main productivity goal right now? So I think let's just say get more done in less time, maybe improve work life, and then be more consistent. And then how do you approach your tasks? How do you procrastinate the most? So let's just say here, and then let's just select this. Okay, now let's click on next. So that's the work habit section. And then for the focus pattern section, we just select 60 to 90, which often breaks your focus. Okay, great. And then how often do you multitask? Let's just say often. And then when do you do your best work? So let's just say late night. And also this is about the energy and the um, sleep behavioral patterns. So how would you describe your daily energy? So let's just say consistent, and then which sleep schedule best matches you. So let's just say late sleeper. How energized do you usually feel in the morning? Let's say full energy do you usually feel in the evening? And then what productivity tools or systems do you currently use? So let's just say Google Calendar, ClickUp, Habit Tracker. And then what kind of productivity system do you prefer? Let's just say simple and minimal. And then um, mostly consistent. Okay, so for this one, what is your biggest productivity challenges? So I think I'll just say, let's just put procrastination, and then this one, and also what helps you stay on track the most. Let's just say visual task tracking, and also what would you most like your personalized result to include? Let's just say a full productivity action plan, and then none. Like next. Okay, so now the AI is preparing results. Let's see how this goes. So that's loading. Let's see if it will be able to kind of like generate a result based on the prompt that we used. Okay, so there were a few um there were a few in here that the AI wasn't really able to um determine or get the question ID from. So we'll have to fix that. Let's just make sure to get in here. Don't assign variable to the prompt, just mention assign inputs, directly mentioning as inputs like input name, assigning some titles will not be read correctly by AI again. It's another step to AI to analyze. That will be more tokens. Yeah, I've tried doing that before, trying to count. It's just that when I tried doing that, it didn't really I don't think it was able to kind of like understand the variable. Not sure why, but this prompt that I'm using right now so comes from an AI tool. So it's kind of like AI prompting AI, right? So that's why that's the prompt that I am also following. So let me just take a look at where this like I'm not sure where this went wrong. So let's take a look at it real quick. So basically it wasn't able to get um the primary role. Okay. Let's see here. Basic profile. Okay, let me just remove that from the prompt itself. Sorry. I'm going back and forth with this tabs. So let me just remove that. Since we already removed that question, I think it was because it was too long. And then main productivity goal. Let's just take a look at our like prompts in here. Okay, so it's this one, main productivity goal. And then the work environment. And also we have the planning style. So let's take a look at that. I think we have the unique ID correct in here. So as you can see, it says planning underscore style. So that looks correct to me. And then let's take a look at focus duration. See here. Best work mode, think that would be under here. So I think we still have that correct. So, and then we have the what they call this, the unique IDs that wasn't able to like get the input from the user. So let me just troubleshoot that. Routine, consistency. Oh, where was that? Routine, consistency. Okay, cool. Let me just go over here. Biggest productivity challenge. Okay. I think we got that right also. Routine, consistency. And then accountability friends. So right here, and then that will be on this accountability purpose. Okay, great. So we just match what they call it, just question IDs, and it seems like it wasn't able to kind of like get those question IDs. So let's just take a look at what else we can add in this prompt. So let's just say use the following form inputs to generate a detailed AI product, right, productivity, personality assessment result. Okay, cool. And then let's just add another like guide in here. Provide the result with the following. And then let's just save changes, save prompt. Now we will try that one more time. Okay, great. Now let's start the assessment. So tell us about yourself, Kimberly, and fuller mood, and then da, 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 da. So that's good. And then how do you usually approach your work task? Let's just say this. And then let's just make like just select. Just want to see if we can kind of like um, we can get the proper results. Okay, so I'm just selecting from here. Okay, cool. Da, da, da. Okay, challenges. Da, 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 da. Let me just select from those. And then, okay, now we will see if the prompt will now work and see how that goes. Oh, there you go. Awesome. So we just added like two sentences and we were able to fix that. So first it was, I think, provided us with the productivity archetype and the productivity profile summary, also the recommended daily work structure, and then the focus improvement tips, the productivity tools or systems, and then practical strategies address challenges. And also a motivational closing. So there's that. And yeah, I think our form works. So that's awesome. And that's basically it. Once the questions were set up and the prompt references, those identifiers, the Intelliform just basically handles the rest. So the AI takes this structured input and then turns it into a personalized output. So the good thing about this, you can also apply the same pattern to pretty much anything. It can be for marketing strategy assessments. It can be for client onboarding, product recommendations, diagnostics. So you name it. So instead of just static forms that just collect data, you're basically turning them into this kind of like interactive AI tool that generate immediate value for the user. Um, Dan says, now what can it do with the output? Can it send to participant? Can we add a call to action or offer at the end of the survey result? Yes, you can. We can do all of that. Then it is up to you guys. What next step is the best for this kind of use case based on like the niche or the demographic that you think suits best for this kind of AI tool. But what you can do is you can add a call to action, have them click on this button to kind of like maybe schedule a consultation call or a demo call, and then you can also send this to whoever completed this form, but you will need to add an email email address input, so you can just send it directly. So all you need to do is go over here and like add that on the very last part of the page. Just use email. And then once you set that up inside webhooks, once you set that up on an automation platform, you will be able to kind of like automatically send the result to participants. So, or to whoever maybe completed this form, or you can even notify yourself or the client that someone completed this form. So, yep. So we can replace the start over button with a next step. Yep, you can certainly. So just go to the ending page and then click on this button right here where it says start over. So once you click on that, you'll have an option to kind of like select or replace this title right here. And then also the button action URL right here. So once they click on this, they'll be redirected to that URL that you enter on this section. Any other questions maybe regarding this form? Let me just send this over on the chat, duplicate link for the AI in Teleform. Okay, so I just put the duplicate link on the chat. Any last questions before we wrap up the call? Can you do an integration to a calendar app? Yup, but not on iSpot directly. You will have to do that via webhooks. You will have to set up a webhook for that. But right now you cannot do that inside an Intelliform, inside the AskSpot. but you'll have to set up a webhook for that to be able to kind of like do the integration. Okay, great. All right. I think that's it for our Thursday's live hub session. I appreciate you all guys for joining. Sorry this took too long. The form is like an assessment, so it does take long. So thank you for that, Don. You're a technical magician. He said, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And you guys have a great Thursday. Bye bye.